Yeah, my name is Ditlev Bredal. I'm the founder and CEO of OnApp, and I'm joined by Carlos, CS, and Y Keen. And today we are here to take you on a journey on how to fix the internet. We will go through what we think the problem is with the internet, the solution, how the solution works, and then we will take questions for you guys. And please just join in anytime with questions. There is this question tool in the GoToMeeting. What's it called? Control panel. Thanks, Steve. The GoToMeeting control panel have a question tool, and whatever you type in there, we will answer it down the line. Yeah. So the internet is broken, or actually, we think the web is broken, and I'll take you on this journey as to why we think it's broken, how we're gonna fix it, and what your part of that journey will be. But yeah, I mean, the issue here is that there's a massive increase in users, especially on mobile. You see the digital users around the world in 2018. You see the users of mobile internet over the years, and here is the example of 98% of all Chinese internet users are mobile today. Now, if you look at this slide here, it shows the weight of the average website. So you can see the line going through it is the optimal size of a website, and the sort of horizontal bars is the actual side of the website. And the actual site in accordance to what a website should be in order to have the best user experience. And there's you can see here a great mismatch. And if you go to the time load of the time that it takes to load a page on the average website, again, if you take the vertical line, this is what how fast the website should load, and the horizontal bars here shows how long time it actually does take to load. Now, this in itself does not mean that the internet is broken. It just means that the tendencies on how internet is used and how it's actually effectively being experienced are not going in the right direction. One of the major problems is latency. As you can see on this globe here, if there is a website hosted in London and there's a visitor going to pick up that website from his computer or mobile phone in Australia, you actually have to go and grab that information, that data, the service, the images, all the way from London to Australia, and that's around 16,500 kilometers. In a vacuum, light covers that in 55 milliseconds. But you know what? It's not a vacuum. The internet is not a vacuum. It's fiber and cables, and effectively, typically we're looking at around 200 milliseconds, sometimes 400 milliseconds when data has to travel around the world. So the internet infrastructure, the internet architecture, is just not built for the kind of internet traffic you have today. You can say, why is 200 milliseconds a problem? The internet, as the way you see it, is only getting faster and faster. Well, the fact is that when you're sitting on a mobile phone, the last mile of the internet is experienced being slower and slower. So while the internet pipes around the world might get faster and faster, your last mile down to your phone or to your computer is being experienced as slower and slower. The real problem, the way we see it, is not actually the latency. The real problem is that the inherent infrastructure, the inherent methodology of how the internet is built, you know what, it's just wrong. The real problem, the way we see it, is the distribution model. Hear me out here. When you built the internet back in the days, it's like it was built as though there were more distributors than there were viewers, consumers. And it's the point of distribution is decided by the distributor, not by the consumer. Now, hear me out here. Like, for example, if you have that website sitting in London, you are the one decided where that website is hosted from. You're the one deciding where the service that you are offering is being consumed from. So if I have visitors all over the world, every visitor I have to come to my website, to my server in London, and pick up the data that I'm trying to serve, sell, or help him with. And no other modern consumer-driven marketplace works like this. For example, if I put this into perspective, you don't go to the farm to pick up your milk. No, you go to a supermarket. Because the way that this marketplace have developed over time, people have found out that going to the farm every morning and picking up your milk, you know what, it's just not very convenient. It's not very fast. That's why supermarket popped up that helps you bring the milk to the closest possible point of pickup. If in the network world, that would be the point of presence. You don't go to Kuwait to fill up your car. No, what you do is you go to the gas station because someone else have done all the hard work for you, all the heavy lifting. The gasoline has been brought to you in just around the corner in your service station, your Kuwait station, or your Shell station, wherever you buy it. Now, any consumer-driven market works like this, but the internet doesn't. On the internet, the distribution point is decided by the distributor. So you as the website owner, you as the website or server owner decides the point of distribution. No other consumer-driven marketplace works like that. And that is really weird. We were wondering. So all of these users that we had before on the slides are getting it from the source of distribution. They're not getting it from the closest point of presence, the way the internet should work. So we are wondering, because a CDN actually solved that problem. CDNs are meant to, is a content delivery network, solve this problem. It's meant to distribute the content to the closest possible pub. So CDNs are effectively the supermarkets of the internet. It's the service stations of the internet, making sure that you as a consumer will pick up the service or the website or the images, the movie or whatever you're doing, picking up from the closest possible pub. So CDN is what websites like Netflix would be using, or YouTube would be using, or large e-commerce shops like Amazon would be using to make sure that the user experience for you is as good as possible. However, the problem is that only 6% of all websites in the world are actually powered by a CDN. So what I've tried to outline here is a scenario where the internet effectively is broken. It's too slow. It's getting slower and slower as mobile phones. Well, the perceived experience is getting worse and worse as mobile phones are getting more and more popular. The perceived experience is getting worse and worse as the internet is getting faster, but the last mile is getting slower. So why is it only 6%? I mean, I think that is the real question. We think it's because the internet with CDNs is just too complex. It's too expensive. It's really hard to set up a CDN. You have to change DNS. You have to change the code on your website in order to implement it. And you know what? It's super expensive as well. So having a CDN is clearly the answer, but it's just way too complicated for most of the consumers out there. And effectively, for 94% of all websites in the world, they have decided not to go with a CDN. Now, you know what? They may not even know that a CDN exists. So technical knowledge, it's hard to implement, and it's quite expensive. Those, we feel, are the barriers to CDN adoption. And some of you that might be selling CDN today, you're going to your clients, you're trying to explain to them why they should deploy your CDN. You're probably getting the same answers. Oh, I have to change my DNS. I have to go and change my code. I have to, if I'm using WordPress, I have to put up the plugins, and I have to do all these things. And most times it involves downtime. It certainly will involve an additional cost. Or if you are a service provider, you have the option of going with someone like Cloudflare. And in that case, it would involve you handing over your client data to a third party. A third party that we have seen now is effectively stealing your business by selling domain and hosting to them themselves. Neither of those options are very good. Now we are about to change all that, because what we have done is we have taken the OnApp Accelerator. I'm sure you guys have heard about the OnApp Accelerator in the past. The OnApp Accelerator is the one-click CDN enabler. So it's the CDN technology we have run now for a few years. It's proven technology. It's a mature platform, and it's been running inside hundreds of websites already. And it's the way to enable CDN with one click. We have taken that and we have now included it for free with every OnApp install. What does that mean? That means that your customers' websites are now all going to be on CDN for free. It means that all the implementation hassle that you would have before by implementing a CDN, using setting up DNS, having to put in all the static files in a specific folder, changing your code, setting up plugins, doing all the things that you would have to do in order to make a CDN work yesterday. You don't have to do them anymore. By default, when a virtual machine is set up on OnApp, it's going to be CDNified. It's going to be distributed. It's going to have all the advantages of being running on a CDN, and it's going to be free. So starting today, you are part of fixing the internet, because running OnApp, you will now have all your clients by default being deployed on a CDN without any hassle of implementing it and without all the commercial implications of being forced to charge for making the internet faster. And now I will hand over to CS, who will talk a little bit about how the accelerator actually works from a technical perspective. And we'll jump back into talking about how this makes an advantage to you and your business in a second.
All right. Thank you, Dilek, for the great opening about how broken the internet is and explaining the reason why CDN is still not prevalent for the websites. I, for one, couldn't agree more on those points coming from my position of leading OnApp CDN team. Given that the department here in Kuala Lumpur is very much focused in OnApp CDN, from time to time we heard the pain points from our own customers on how difficult it is to run a successful CDN business. And that is actually the trigger point of why we implemented Accelerator. So here we are today to fix all these problems using OnApp Accelerator 2.0. But first of all, why is it a 2.0? Many of you may not know we have launched the Accelerator product once back in year 2016. That's the version 1.0, and back then Accelerator was still a patent pending technology. We then received the official US patent certificate in year 2017, which motivates the team to invest more in Accelerator product. To be honest to you, the pickup rate for the Accelerator 1.0 wasn't good at all. And the reason for this mainly comes from the commercial strategy and the product features. The price was not set correctly, the mandatory product features were not there, and most importantly, we didn't do enough to help out our customers in their business. So, what is Accelerator 2.0 all about? As you can see in the diagram of the screen here, the Accelerator is actually an appliance which I call it as a performance booster, which sit between the virtual machine that hosts the web content and the end user who serves the web content. The Accelerator mainly does two things. First, it optimizes and compresses the static content in the virtual machine. Files like HTML, CSS, JS, images will be optimized. Secondly, it rewrites the content URL to deliver the optimized content through a global CDN which consists of more than 20 high-performance POPs. Take note that all these are being done automatically by the Accelerator without any manual work or changes made by the website owner. For this relaunch, we actually spent 2 years of time to redesign the entire product, ensuring the mandatory features are in. We have improved the product stability, like cutting the downtime during activation. We also improved the user friendliness and web compatibility for example, supporting auto enablement of Accelerator and connection HTTPS when it comes to delivery. There are also more CDN POPs being added into the package so that the delivery is much faster and the geographical reach are much wider. Apart from all this, the new commercial model for Accelerator is gonna be disruptive and unbelievable, which I'm going to talk about it later. All in all, we are very confident that this relaunch will be highly successful and Accelerator deserves to get the limelight that it should. Let's look at the advanced features of Accelerator 2.0. So the Accelerator supports HTTPS connection by using Let's Encrypt, and this is regardless of whether there is an SSL installed on website in the VM itself. So it saves you some work and hassle on installing an SSL. Because of HTTPS connection is used, Accelerator does reap the benefits of HTTP2 protocol as well. For example, handling multiple HTTP requests with one TCP connection, header compression, and etc. IP spoofing is something new in OnApp Accelerator 2. It allows the VM to get the real user IP address although the VM is being shielded by the Accelerator. Some other common features like blacklist, domain, purge, and reporting are available in Accelerator 2.02 for day-to-day operation. Next, we are going to look at the CDN locations available. Here, it lists out all the CDN POPs available for the Accelerator 2.0. It used to be having 16 locations in Accelerator version 1.0, and now it has increased to nearly 30. And they are more than sufficient to cover a website with global traffic. Do note that all these POPs are all having huge pipe for bandwidth, and their performance are well tested by our engineer before being added to the Accelerator CDN. The next big thing about Accelerator 2.0 would be its commercial model. Yes, you see it right. The Accelerator is free of charge for all OnApp customers for OnApp CDN CP version 6.0 and above. We are really being serious in fixing the internet. So apart from the software cost of Accelerator, OnApp will absorb the cost of bandwidth for the web content which get redirected to the CDN via the Accelerator as well. I would say this is a very huge investment from my personal point of view, but still OnApp is doing it. For next part of the webinar, let's hear out to our CEO, Mr. Dilef, on how Accelerator benefits all of us. Over to you, Dilef.
Thank you, CS. Awesome. Yeah, so for customers hosting their websites with you, what does this mean? In short, it means their site is going to be faster. It's going to be faster because we're going to reduce the file size and because there will be fewer requests. How much faster? Well, in some cases, it will be double as fast. In other cases, it will be even more than that. And this is how a CDN, this is what the CDN does. The big difference here is that it doesn't require any activation, that it requires zero work from your clients or from yourself. It's just how OnApp works from here on. Everything in OnApp will be faster from today. So imagine a case like this where a client asks you, so why should I host with you? Yesterday, you probably say, well, you know, our uptime is really good, or our support is awesome, or all the things that all the service providers have been saying for all time. Today, you can say, well, you should host with us because your site will be faster. Isn't that nice? I mean, for a very long time, for years and years, service providers have been struggling in order to decommoditize the service they have. They've been struggling to have an offering that they can say to their clients will actually make a difference. Now you can say, well, it's faster. Sure, you can host a DigitalOcean, but if you sit with us, it's faster. Sure, you can put your websites on Amazon, but if you host it with me, it's faster. I've been running service provider businesses together with Carlos and many of the other parts of my team for years and years and years. And had I had something like this, my story to my clients would have been a lot clearer and a lot simpler to explain to my clients why they should buy from me instead of the next guy. So what we effectively done here is we have decommoditized the hosting industry. We have enabled you as a service provider to have something that is not as transparent, where it's not only about price, uptime, and support, but it's actually about you having a unique service to your clients and saying, hey, sure, you could host with the next guy, but if you host with me, it's faster. And Carlos will talk a little bit about how you can actually prove that to the end users, to the potential clients you have, because we've set up like a sort of online white paper that Carlos will show you in a second with some benchmarking tools and things like this. So what happens when your site is your client sites are faster? Well, what will happen is your churn rate will go down. So you will lose less clients, because if a client comes to you and say, you know what, I'm going to move my service, my website, my e-commerce store to Linode, then your answer yesterday was, well, can I give you a better price, or can I give you some more infrastructure for the same price, or can I do something else to help you? Today you can say, well, sure, you can move to Linode, but your site will be slower. So you should be ready to either spend some money on a CDN or to experience a decrease in performance the day you move out of my service, because you're running on OnApp, because you're part of fixing the internet. The same could be said about your conversion rate. Again, yesterday it was a price battle. It was about being having the lowest price or the highest uptime or the best support. The things that all service providers are struggling with today. And tomorrow you can say, hey, sure, you can buy from this guy, but if you buy from me, it's going to be faster. And OnApp, we have solved the cost to this. So you can deliver this performance to your customers for no additional cost. So sure, some of you guys may already be offering services like this through Cloudflare, but through Cloudflare, there are still DNS changes. Your clients still have to have a direct relationship with Cloudflare. And as you can see, those guys have started selling domain names and all kinds of competing services directly. We are not here to do that. We are here to make you a better business, to make you to give you the ability to have lower churn and higher conversion rates, not to take your business away from you. So today, only 6% of websites use CDN. We want to move the needle on that. According to analysts, around 2% of all websites in the world are being hosted on OnApp today. And it's our goal here to move those 2% to CDN, effectively making the 6% up to 80%. And that's just us beginning. That's with the current user base of today. And it's completely transparent. There's no OnApp branding. As I said, we are not here to steal your business. Your clients would have no idea that OnApp are the ones actually making this possible. We are not here to brand OnApp to your end users or to do anything else that would make it seem like OnApp is actually the one offering this service. So cool. In the meantime, I will hand over to Joaquin, and he will dive into the technical platform here. He will go through the architecture, the topology, and the virtual appliance required for this to work. Thanks.
Thanks, Detlef. I'm going to be speaking a little bit about the technical details behind the accelerator. So in order to accelerate your virtual machines, you need to set up an Accelerator appliance. Minimum requirements for this appliance are 4 CPU cores, 4 gigs of RAM, and 100 gigs of disk space. And depending on the amount of traffic your VM serve, your appliance may require more CPU cores, RAM, and even SSDs. These computing resources are necessary as the appliance performs optimizations in the content, and it caches them to disk so that it doesn't have to re-optimize them again. So when we accelerate a virtual machine, the HTTP and HTTPS web traffic for it are, simply speaking, rerouted by the hypervisor to the appliance. Other non-web traffic like SSH and SMTP are passed through to the VM directly. When the appliance receives this web request, it terminates the connection from the user and proxies the rest of it to the VM. As we've integrated Let's Encrypt into the appliance, we can also terminate HTTPS traffic now using automatic certificate provisioning. One cool thing we've done is to make the connection back to the VM spoofed to the user's IP, so that your geolocation plugins, your firewalls, your access logs, they're all going to work without any changes to your setup. And terminating the connection this way also lets us provide your VM with the best practices in web performance, especially where mobile devices are concerned. So no matter what operating system your VM runs, it could be a really, really old version of CentOS, for example. The accelerator is going to front it with an optimized TCP stack with all the good stuff like BBI congestion control, TLS 1.3, HTTP2, and so on. When a request is made for a web page, the appliance takes the HTML response and optimizes it and the resources that it refers to using page speed. For example, we'd be removing white space from JavaScript and CSS, and that's like a pretty small win. The bigger win is really in recompressing images to a more efficient format like WebP if the browser supports it. And also we push this static content to load from the CDN using HTTP2. And because all these responses are also gzip compressed, even if your VM isn't configured with gzip, it's fine because the accelerator will fix it for you. And all in all, this means that web pages generally load faster and smaller for your user. So one of the things we wanted to solve when we invented this accelerator was that we wanted to be able to accelerate any website in any VM without making any changes to the website. So one part of the solution was to write support for the hypervisor to reroute traffic to the accelerator, and this therefore eliminates the need to make DNS changes. The other part was to be able to dynamically provision website content to the CDN. And the way we do this is by encoding details of the original request into the CDN URL. So there'll be the VM IP, the host name in the CDN URL, as well as the optimized content file name. So using the page speed extend cache feature, the CDN URLs can be cached in your browser forever because it has a unique identifier associated with it. When the content changes on the VM, the accelerator detects it and it gives a new CDN URL in the HTML code for the browser to fetch. So this way, when someone visits your website a second time, it will load really, really fast. So there's some known limitations with the accelerator. The first one is that the VM needs to be in the same network zone as the appliance. And the reason for this is because we do rerouting at the layer 2 level, and it's not able to cross different networks right now. And the second limitation is that we only support one accelerator per network zone at the moment. So we're working hard on supporting multiple accelerators, and we want to be able to do that in a load balance fashion as well. But what we can support today is a fail-safe system where if the accelerator goes down, traffic will simply be rerouted back to your VMs automatically so that there'll be no downtime. So we're trying really hard to make this a completely transparent system as far as everything goes. And I'm going to pass this back to CS.
Thank you, Joaquin. In this session, I'm going to show you a demo of auto-enablement of Accelerator and how the VM is being accelerated by default. I am also going to show you how to disable acceleration if you wanted to. First, let's check out the auto-enablement of Accelerator. In CP 6.0, under the Settings section, there is a new button added called Accelerator Dashboard. If you click into it, it will bring you to the main page of the Accelerator Dashboard. The Accelerator Dashboard will list out all the networks available in the control panel. It also shows the acceleration status of each network. If you would like to enable acceleration of a particular network, all you need to do is toggle the power on button of the network under acceleration status, and then an accelerator will be created automatically with our recommended spec. This screenshot shows an accelerator which builds automatically when a network acceleration status is being powered on. The spec will always remain the same as per our recommendation, and you can adjust it to have higher spec if needed. Do note that the build of accelerator will take around 10 to 15 minutes, and after that, all the new VM created from this particular network will be accelerated by default. Let me show you what do I mean by default. Upon VM creation, after you have selected the CPU, RAM, network storage, and came to the last step of confirmation, you will notice there is a section called Automation Settings. Under the settings, there is an option called Acceleration Allowed. The toggle button for this Acceleration Allowed will always be toggled on by default unless the user clicks to disable it. Let's say the acceleration was powered on and for specific reason you need to turn it off. You can do it easily from the main screen of the VM tool without having to recreate the VM. As you can see, at the main screen of the VM, there is a toggle button of Acceleration Allowed. Just toggle it off and the VM will not be accelerated within a few seconds, and there will be no downtime in between the deactivation. In the same page, there is an extra tab called Accelerator Settings. From there, you could see the menu of other features of the accelerator, for example, blacklist domain, purge, and accelerator reporting. The blacklist domain features is extremely useful when you would like to exclude a website from being accelerated in a VM. So I have mentioned this before in the earlier part. In Accelerator 1.0, we have not done enough to help our customer in their business. Thus, the launching wasn't really successful, and we are determined to put extra effort this round. Let me pass the control to our Chief Visionary Officer, Mr. Carlos, to present to you on how OnApp will help you to sell your accelerated cloud. Carlos, all over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, CS. Thank you so much, Joaquin. So as you guys can see, this is quite a complex system, and even for us who are the people building it, and you guys, the people providing these types of services to your clients, it is quite a mouthful to explain to them what exactly is the accelerator and how it works. So based on that, to help you, we created a microsite. And this microsite, basically, it's to help you explain what the proposition is to your clients. Your clients can go to this microsite, and I'll give you a little bit of demo in a few seconds. They can go into this microsite. They can enter their website or any website that they wish to test. And the microsite will give them a comparison of how does their website look when it's on a traditional hosting, you know, any other cloud out there, or how it performs when it's being accelerated by your cloud. And the idea for this microsite is for you to use it. So this is not a site for us to give to our clients. No, not at all. We created it for you to give it to your clients, for you to utilize as part of your go-to-market strategy. So you can, you know, you can link it from your website, or you can, you know, create a CNAME or redirection to the site. And the reason why we did it is because there's a lot of technology behind it to enable this this comparison to happen. And it would be a lot of work for most people to do it on their own. So you can use it for your clients. So let's see a demo. So when you get to the Accelerator website, you get basically an input box that you can enter any domain to test. But before we do this, let's see, under here we explain, you know, how does it work. So as we said before, you know, web applications have components that need to be accelerated, things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, and we accelerate it all through our accelerator layer and distribute it through our global CDN. And further down, we also explain to the end clients, you know, what does this mean, that they're going to get great performance. And we also put a few bullet points explaining, you know, this is a zero effort deal. You know, it can be twice as fast. There's no extra cost. And of course, successful websites are websites that are faster, as we said before. And at the bottom there, we have a few extra bits such as white papers, data sheets, and some mini videos that your clients can look at to get a bit more detail. So when they're ready to test, they just go back to the top, and let's enter here a website that I'm sure some of you guys must use, and see how does it stack being accelerated and not. So as you can see, we are currently testing the original website, and then we're going to test an accelerated copy of that website. Usually this test here takes about a minute or two, but for the sake of this demo, we speed it up a little bit for you guys. And as you can see, we're basically done here, and here's our result. Now, bear in mind that this is, you know, this is a very large site, and they already have their own CDNs and their own acceleration. So even so, our accelerator was able to improve it. So the page speed went up, the YSLO went up, the loaded time lower, the page size, you know, so we have some compression in there, it became smaller, and the overall performance gain now sits at 36%. We also have a PDF of before and after, so you can compare what, you know, what was slow before, what was faster. So you can see here a before one, and you can see this is all provided by GTmetrix. So this is, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're actually utilizing the GTmetrix APIs to give you all this data. So, you know, this is from a trusted source. You know, you can see things even as such as the waterfall, where every single element and how long does it take to load up. And we also have the after. So, and if you want to check into another site, you can do it right here from the screen and keep testing it on and on. So that's the accelerator, and this is currently live. We just put it live today at accelerator.site. And as I said, you know, you guys go ahead and go and test it yourselves. You would like to, but the idea behind this is a tool for you to give to your clients. And as you can see, next slide, Accelerator.site is completely non-branded. What do we mean by that? We didn't want to have a site that your clients would go to and they would see references to, for instance, other accelerated clouds out there. No, this is completely non-branded. There's no mention of any other providers. Your clients can go there and feel like they're getting something coming from you and nobody else.
Yeah, so what we do on Accelerator.site is we suck the site and we make a local copy of it, and then we accelerate it, and it's the data that you're looking at is real. So you've probably seen these CDN before and after flash thingies going around on the internet. This is not one of those things. This is real data being built and developed in real time. So your clients, the difference between the A and B we saw before on Facebook, this is actually how much faster Facebook would be if it had been through the OnApp Accelerator.
And this is why we did this site, because as you guys can imagine, we had to develop quite a bit of technology to be able to, you know, to test a live site and then replicate that live site inside the accelerator. That's a ton of work, but it's there and it's for you guys to use.
Yeah, and what we're hoping you guys will do is when you would have a little link in your order form saying, well, if you buy from us, it's faster. And the reason it's faster is because we use the Accelerator technology. You don't know what the Accelerator technology is? Well, click here, and then you can go and test it yourself before you buy from me. And the site that you send your clients to, there's no chance that your clients will be inspired to buy from anyone else. And we're not trying to sort of lure your clients away into buying services from us or from anyone else in the process. We simply build Accelerator site to help you sell more, to help you retain your clients in a better way. And it's free and it's there for you to use already today.
Excellent.
So how to get started? Well, it's actually it's easy. You upgrade to 6.0. As soon as you upgrade to 6.0, the Accelerator is enabled. Now in OnApp, we have clients still running 4.0. We even have some guys running 3.0. We have thousands and thousands of clients in OnApp around the world in more than 100 countries. And once in a while, we have a hard time making people upgrade. It's just tough. And I understand why. If you have a platform that you feel comfortable with, that is working, that is bug-free, and you and your techs would be perfectly comfortable continuing on that platform, why should you upgrade? Hopefully, this is enough to make you upgrade. But we've made this survey, another poll, where we basically ask you, and that is in your GoToMeeting thing now, where we're basically asking you whether this would be enough for you to upgrade. Now, I'm really interested in your reply here, because we think we have launched something that not only will disrupt the way that the internet works, but also make you as a service provider a hell of a lot more commercially successful. It will make it easier for you to win new business, and it will make it a lot easier for you to retain the clients you already have. Being a service provider is super commoditized. It's really hard to tell your clients why your business is better than the guys next door's business. Now, with the Accelerator, you not only can tell them, you can actually prove it. You can send your clients to accelerator.site, and you can show them what their speed would be if they hosted at the current host, or if they put their servers or sites with any of the competitors, compared to what it is once it's accelerated.
And also gives, I was just going to say, it also gives you another edge against, we all worry about the mega clouds out there, of course, and this is another differentiator for you, so that you can have a product that's nobody else can offer, and only on this platform you can provide your clients with a faster experience with a single click. Actually, no, not even a click nowadays.
Yeah, and for us, it's obviously it's a big investment. You probably got that by now, but what we are doing here is we are saying that the 2% of all the world's websites that are currently sitting on OnApp, what we are doing here is we are saying, hey guys, we'll pay all your bandwidth. So that will eventually be petabits and petabits of bandwidth traffic flowing through our infrastructure, through our federated infrastructure sitting across the OnApp network. We are happy to do that because we know, number one, the internet will be a better place. Number two, we know that you, as a service provider, will have a more successful business. And the more successful you are, the more successful we are as a company. So we are in the same boat here. We are super excited by this, and we are hoping that you will you will join us in fixing the internet and upgrade your platform to 6.0. Send your clients to accelerator.site so they can see why they should use this. And now we are ready to take your questions. We already have a bunch of them here, but please type them in the question field, and we will take the time here to answer most of them. I just want to say that you can always contact your account managers or me or Carlos or anyone else who's been on this directly. Yeah, so should we jump into?
We'll take one here. So I see there's one there that says, can we post to the test from our own site? Absolutely. So all you have to do in your own website, you can say, test your website on Accelerator. You just create a form where the client can post the domain that they want to test, and then you just forward that to accelerator.site, and there's a little string that you push the URL that they just give you, and then it tests it for you. They still see the accelerator.site, but they can initiate the trigger, the test on your website.
And then we have another guy, Diego, here. Thanks for your question. Asking, well, in those cases where there's only one pub in a country, and if you already have most of your clients in that country, and if you have your own data center in that country, what's the obvious benefit here? Well, number one, we are paying for your bandwidth. So it will be a hell of a lot cheaper for you to run your website business, because from now on, the bandwidth cost will be ours, not yours. But secondly, your clients will actually still experience a performance increase, because what we are doing, apart from distributing your website, we're also optimizing it. We are minifying the images and the CSS files and the HTML and PHP and so on. And we are also putting a web application firewall, sort of dealing with the most obvious attacks, just like you know it from other sort of online services. And so that is the reason that even though you sit locally, even though your clients are in the same country as yours, that you will still benefit a significant performance increase just by putting this on the accelerator. So we have one more question. Someone asking, hey, is there any fair users policy to this? Is it gonna, what if we have tons of gigabytes going through the accelerator network? Well, there is, both from your side and from our side, a fair users policy. So this goes through a virtual machine, an accelerated virtual machine, just like Joaquin went through in his technical layout. And that virtual machine is actually dealing with the minification and the optimization of the website. And if you have tons and tons and tons of traffic going through that, you may experience that even if you cluster that machine, that the load of that machine will be too high and start actually being an issue for you. So there is a natural limitation inside your own infrastructure. That's a really high limit, but it is still there. And yeah, and we at OnApp, we also put some limits to it in a so-called fair users policy. It's a very high limit. We would probably put it at, we don't have a fixed one. We probably put it at, in terabytes rather than gigabytes. Inside, we've talked about having a guideline saying that the top 1% of all the websites in the federation, in the accelerator, we would look at and consider whether they would be sitting better on a normal CDN instead of the OnApp accelerator. But we don't have fixed rules there, and we will see how it pans out. So there's more questions here. Who are the POPs? Are OnApp servers part of the federation? Or is it part of the? So it's actually a mix. We have built a core network ourselves that will probably stand behind 10-20% of the traffic. And then we are using the federation around the world to make sure that we're out in every corner of the globe. So we're starting out, as you saw before, in CSs with a good, solid worldwide network. And as the time goes, we will add more POPs to it ongoingly. Did you have one, Carlos?
Yes. So there's somebody here asks, will the accelerator product be free for life, or are they going to be charged?
So we will guarantee that in its current shape, the accelerator product will be free. So the way it looks today, the service you will see as soon as you upgrade 6.0 will be free. Now down the line, we don't have those today, but you can imagine there would be better statistics or other services that we could add to it. But you will never be charged from the accelerator traffic. You can go to your clients, you can give it to them for free, and you can be sure that we will not come to you afterwards with additional costs.
So there's one there, which is great feature, and this is a technical question, which is if the user has extended validation certificate, if it will not be visible anymore and replaced with Let's Encrypt. So CS, do you want to answer this one?
Yes, I actually answer him privately. So yeah, only Let's Encrypt will be used.
So the end user would not see the certificate originally sitting at the source. He would see the Let's Encrypt certificate.
Yes, that's correct.
Then there is another question: if we plan to offer the code for Accelerator aside for customization.
So there's quite a few requirements behind that code. But if talk to us, I mean, we can make it happen, but we would advise against it, because we're going to continue to be working on this, and every time that we're going to do modifications to it, you guys would have to do it again. So it would sort of defeat the purpose of having it. But
but hey, I mean, if we can find a way to make it work with you, absolutely. Why don't you just ping us directly, or ping your account manager, and let's talk. We're heavy handing it over. There are some costs related that we are paying today for GT metrics to be implemented.
Yes,
which is not cheap actually. But if you guys want to cover that cost with your own APIs, then maybe, yeah, sure. So we have Predrag asking, basically static HTML pics, JavaScript will be cached in CDN. Any micro caching on Nginx accelerated on cloud?
Joaquin? you want to answer this one?
Sorry, I think I'll need.
So the question is.
The question be. Yep. Can the question be rephrased, please?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Pedrak, can you rephrase the question, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure I get it as well.
While we wait to be rephrased, there is another one, Joaquin, that you can help, which is, if the accelerator will support more file types, for example, video, in the future.
We're currently not looking to support video in the current roadmap, but for video delivery, we have a pretty good CDN product suite that we can use. We use Wowza and Nginx for that, and it supports like RTMP, HLS, Dash. So if you need to deliver video now, you can talk to us about using those instead.
Yeah, I mean the OnApp CDN, which is also the core network behind the accelerator, has been around for years and years. We have very large, probably around 80 or so CDN running on our network. CDNs running on our networks already, and it's everything from large TV stations to huge events like Tomorrowland, and we have Miss World and things like this being hosted on our platform. And it's the same benefit from a network perspective that you guys will have for free now included in the accelerator. However, there are some features that honestly would be too complicated to put into the accelerator. That would sort of take away the one-click enablement or the default deployment that we are trying to do here. That was sort of targeted the complexity point we spoke about earlier. We have really simplified this deployment to make sure that all the questions you have around caching rules, about all the streaming rules, and about all these things that you have in the standard CDN platform from OnApp, we've taken those away and built a platform that would work for 99.9% of all websites. And then the last 0.1% that either have higher traffic requirements, specific video requirements, they should sit and have a discussion with their service provider and make sure that they get on a proper CDN platform that has all the full feature set.
So Detlef, one last one, if we can. So I've seen it a couple of times here, which is basically the question is if the accelerator will ever work outside OnApp.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Because in terms of roadmap, we would love to find a way to have an accelerated, for example, hardware appliance that you could pop into your data center. You can imagine it would sit somewhere just before the edge of your network and redirect everything that goes through it. But today, we are not there. Today, the only way to deploy it is deploying OnApp 6.0 and upgrading your existing platform and making sure that you enable it so all your clients' websites would be, by default, faster, smarter, and safer. And so I see that Prithak just updated his question. Maybe we should. Can you see it, Joaquin?
Yep. So we currently don't support that right now, but it's definitely an interesting perspective that I'd like to look into.
So this is related to micro-caching with Nginx. Shortly caches dynamic pages to upload source web server. So yeah, so Joaquin will look into that, and if it makes sense, we will put it on the roadmap.
I think we have time for one last one, and we, so people are mentioned because CS did mention about, that we want to do load balancing on the network zones, load balancing on the accelerator itself. And the question, CS, is actually for you is, apart from the load balancer of multiple accelerator, what are the upcoming features on the roadmap for accelerator? Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I know you have a couple of things.
All right. So there are a few features currently on the accelerator roadmap. For example, supporting web application firewall, WAF. Bring your own SSL instead of using Let's Encrypt. And then also some advanced reporting features, like more advanced analytics. But keep your feedback or idea coming, and I'm pretty sure that you will be heard.
And then I have one last question coming in. We actually spoke about that before, but someone here asked, what happens if the accelerator virtual machine goes down? We spoke about that before. So yes, it does sit inline, but if it fails, or if anything in the accelerator technology fails, your client's websites would actually not be impacted, because what will happen is you will just put routing directly to the source. So everything will go through your network, your virtual machines, instead of going through the accelerated virtual machines. So that's how we ensure that there's no downtime at the same time as we can sit inline and optimize and distribute the content.
Basically, they would just be not accelerated, but they would continue to function.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Okay, thank you guys, and thanks for coming here and staying on for such a long time. I'm super impressed by you guys joining in so large numbers. Now, we're really hoping you will deploy this. We're hoping that you will join us in fixing the internet, making the internet a better place to do business and to host services and to offer websites and information to your visitors and clients. We've done what we can do from our side to make the internet a better place, and if you join us together, we can make this happen. Thank you so much. Again, feel free to email us directly or to contact your account manager to discuss how to get this started. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Over and out.